gun control, but I am more than that, and I'm very, very concerned. I'm clear that the 2nd Congressional District needs jobs. Too many of us are unemployed or underemployed. We need more businesses in the area, all kind of businesses, a diversity of businesses. We can really be the transportation hub of this area because of rail, water, roads, and airplanes too, if I have my way. So, but really, I wanted to hear from you. I will answer your questions. Just a little bit about me. I do live in the southern suburbs. I've lived there 20 years, and I've also lived in Peoria, Illinois, because I went to Bradley University. I'm a 2-time graduate of Bradley, and then I have a PhD from Northern Illinois University in political science. I started my life in government about 20 years ago. I was a director of community affairs for the village of Matteson, actually for 13 years. And after about 9 or 10 years, I was minding my business, and 5 gentlemen came and asked me to run for state rep when there was a remap. And I did say no, 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 but they were very persistent, and my family said do it. So really, I took a leap of faith and did it, and I ran against a 10-year incumbent. But I worked very hard, and I won the race and served there 4 years, won for the 3rd time to start my 5th and 6th year. And to my shock, the treasurer asked me to be his chief of staff. Again, I said no, 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 no. I cried really every day for 3 weeks because I love my district so much and felt like there was more to be done. But when I looked at the big picture, I thought I could do even more, in that position. So I didn't look back, took another leap of faith, and did that for 4 years. And then probably as some of you know, I ran for treasurer, and I wasn't successful. Not a good year for Democrats. But that night when I lost, even though other people were crying, but I wasn't, because I just felt that God had another plan for me. And I can tell you, I just really feel like this is the plan. And for those of you that don't know me, I am a true public servant. I feel like that's why God put me on this earth, to be a change agent and to bring people together, to be a collaborator and to really make a difference, because why do it if you're not going to make a difference in people's lives? So that's a little bit about me. I'm married. I have 2 adult children, 28 and 30. But, they're always your kids, and they still need me. So, and I look forward to not just being here tonight, but coming back again and again and again. And I look forward to working with the aldermen and to make a difference in this ward. So.
So our first question is sort of a compound question. Are you going to have an office in the city? Will the 7th Ward be well informed of important decisions on Capitol Hill? And will you have constituent meetings as our previous congressman had?
I will definitely have an office in the city. Actually, the district is 33% Chicago, 56% southern suburbs, 7% Will County, and 4% Kankakee. So it starts 53rd and Cornell. And Cornell goes all the way to Kankakee. So it's about 718,000 folks in the district. I will have an office, and I will tell you, I don't know if the alderman left, but it is between the 7th and the 9th ward. We're looking at both. And then I'll have a office in the south suburbs, and then maybe once or twice a week, we have to figure it out. We'll go further south to Kankakee or somewhere around there to have an office, just so I want everyone to feel that they're represented, and my efforts will really be toward constituent services. I will come in as 435 out of 435 in a Republican House of Representatives, so I don't think I'll be passing a lot of bills, but I feel that I work for the public, and constituent services will be first and foremost. We will be visible. I will have a variety of people in the office that will do casework as well as come out into the community, and there'll be people that have different areas of expertise, like small business, housing issues, because foreclosures is a big problem in the 2nd Congressional District, also financial services. So you will see us, we will be visible. Yes, we will hold meetings. Even if I can't be here, there will be someone from my staff here, and the woman over there taking the copious notes is Audra Wilson, and she will be the district director. So, and she's a wonderful person, so you'll definitely see us, and you'll hear from us, and we're going to work out a way where we can keep you up to date on emails and different, I said I'm old, but different types of social media and different things, like whatever it takes to get the information to you.
Also, I forgot to mention, if during the course of the conversation, if a question strikes you, you can write it down and raise your hand, and someone will come by and pick it up. You also have an opportunity afterwards as well. Okay. Next question. How are you going to make a difference in the community? How do we, the people, put our trust in you to do the right thing and stay true to your oath of office?
Time will allow you to learn about me. People that I have served before, they will tell you the type of person I am. I am a person of integrity. I am honest. I have a strong work ethic. If you work for me, you have a strong work ethic also. And, time will show you that I am that person. And I will have an open door policy with the office. We will do our best to get back with you. I will be 57 later this month, and I can tell you how I've acted up until this point, and I don't expect to change. The bottom line, when people ask me to run for office the first time, I told them that I'm a positive person. I don't want to be negative. I just really want to be positive. And at the end of the day, when I'm not, Congresswoman Kelly or Honorable Kelly or any of those things, I'm just going to have myself. It is very important for me to be able to look in the mirror and be proud of myself. So I want to be, true to myself and be honest and be proud of myself, actually first and foremost. So time will show you that I will, that you can trust me, and I will be honest with you. And people say I'm a humble person, and that most people that have known me for a long time say I've never changed, through all the ups and the downs.
Excuse me. Next question. In your campaign, you said you were for working toward a plan for gun safety. Can you tell me what your plan of action is since the death of 6-month-old John Watkins?
Well, there is a, hold on one second. I just wanted to recognize the state rep just walked in.
How you doing, Congresswoman?
There is a plan already federally, and I stand with the president on that plan. They've already taken the assault weapons out of that plan, but as far as universal background checks, closing gun show loopholes, all of those things I would like to see done, and also banning the assault weapons. And I think it's ridiculous with the magazine, the ammunition. And also, I'm not for conceal and carry, but I know that's going to happen because Illinois is the only state that does not have it. And so the Supreme Court said we have to have it, but I'm hoping that we have the weakest conceal and carry, but it is going to happen because we're the only state that doesn't have it. So and the Supreme Court already made their decision. Like, we shouldn't go to parks. We shouldn't be able to get on the bus or the train. There are some places that allow it in bars. I mean, that makes no sense. And one thing I talk about, when you think about the mass shootings that have occurred, like in, I think it was Aurora, Colorado, in the movie. Now, they have conceal and carry, but nobody pulled out their gun to kill the gentleman that did all the damage that he did. And they could have guns, but most people, they don't want that. So I will do everything I can as far as standing up with the president to pass the laws that he wants to get passed, and so do I. But also, I think it's bigger than that. I feel it's access to mental health. I feel it's mentoring programs. I feel it's starting with children at a young age so they don't even look as far as, gang issues and that kind of violence, so they don't even look in that direction. But it's also bigger than that when you think of domestic violence. I lost a great volunteer to domestic violence. Her husband shot her, and he wasn't a criminal up to that point, and then he shot himself. And then I lost a cousin. Actually, it was in like 3 months of each other. Hers wasn't a gunshot, but it was her husband stabbed her. She was 31 years old. So this is something I've cared about for a very long time, even before I became a state rep, even before I came to the village of Matteson and got involved with government. I've worked a lot in the area of child abuse too, but I think it's going to take all of us. As you see, the police can't do it all. It's going to take neighbors. It's going to take parents knowing where their kids are, but also mentoring programs, good schools, jobs for people, just all of those things. And again, access to mental health, definitely closing gun show loopholes and universal background checks. I just can't understand, and I grew up in a family of cops. My grandfather was a hunter. Why would you not want that? No one has still been able to explain to me why someone would be against that. Don't you want to know who has guns? Excuse me. And also when you sell your car, we can follow where your car goes, but we can't follow where a gun goes. It just does not make sense to me. But also, the majority of people that even belong to the NRA, they don't agree with the lobbyists and the administration of the NRA. They don't even agree. And when you think about Gabby Gifford and Mark Kelly, they're proud gun owners, but they are starting a foundation because they feel that the NRA has had too much power and they're proud gun owners. So I'm going to do everything I can and speak out about it. I would love if there's more hearings to get people from Chicago to come and speak at the hearings. I know people, and it was tragic what happened in Newtown, but we have many new towns here, and also we've had it for a long time, and every person that is murdered is important.
Our next question is about Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, the social safety net. What are your thoughts about cuts to those programs?
Well, totally against cuts to those programs. So many people depend on them, and if we do cut, we're driving more people into poverty. People that receive the money already don't have a lot of money, and then it doesn't make sense to cut more because then we're going to drive them, to another program so they can get help. So I'm definitely against that. And I also think, and I use the example of the defense budget, that they sent over their budget and they sent over a certain amount, and Congress chose to give them more than they asked for, which does not make any sense. And then you want to cut other programs. Also, we still need to look at their corporations not paying their fair share of taxes, and believe it or not, their corporations not paying any taxes, if you can believe that. And then, the wealthy paying their fair share also. I still think there's other things that we can do, and I don't want to do anything that's going to raise the poverty level or drive people further into poverty. That just doesn't make sense to me.
We have a couple of similar questions, so I'm sort of going to combine these. What are your plans or thoughts about stabilizing the foreclosure crisis and increasing mortgage accessibility?
There are good programs in place, and I will have someone in the office that is astute in financial services and in housing and mortgage. So I want to make sure that the information gets out to people, because I know the governor has a program and I need to learn a little bit more about that. And then there's federal programs. So I want to make sure that actually citizens and residents get the information. I think that's the first thing. And you allow me, I'm going to take a little detour. One thing I would really like to see in schools, and I'm not an educator, and I know teachers have a lot on them already, but I would love to see financial education in the schools, because working in the treasurer's office, I saw the travesties and tragedies of people not knowing the benefits of, saving, building a nest egg, and investing, and the problems they got into, and also the misuse of credit cards, signing contracts and getting into mortgages that they absolutely could not afford. And I know there was some trickery to it, so people may not have even realized what they were signing on to. But where I live, people building homes from the ground up, and their tax was one thing. Then the next year when the home was built, the tax blossomed into something much more than they ever anticipated. So I would really love to see some type of financial education in school, so people, will be more familiar, more astute with what's really going on. But there's various federal programs that we definitely will make people aware of. I plan to hold workshops so people can come and learn about them, and also I had good relations with banks, but also holding banks' feet to the fire, because again, we bail banks out, and still too often you hear, that banks still aren't lending. And just to segue a little bit into small business, that's the other issue too. I feel like small business is the backbone of a neighborhood or, a city, a country, but people can't get access, and especially people that look like us can't get that access to capital. So I want to, do a lot of partnering, working with banks, and also bringing the programs to the residents, and also getting the feedback whether the programs really work like they're supposed to work.
Okay, next question. Should you be elected, what kind of immediate changes can we expect in the second congressional district?
Immediate? I don't know. I guess the biggest thing is we'll be visible, and you'll hear from us, and we'll be available to you. Because as I've traveled the district, not Kankakee because they're new into the district, but that's what I heard from people, that they felt like they hadn't been represented in a while, or they didn't really feel like they could call into the office or that kind of thing. But I think that's the biggest impact we can make immediately, is to be visible, to know you have a resource in an office you can call. And we'll be building that. Again, we're not sure where we're going to be yet, but we will definitely get the information out. And then also, again, holding meetings. I want to be able to come back and talk to people, and looking at what we could do as far as economic development, and then, like I said, as far as foreclosure workshops and different things like that, because constituent services is what we will be paying the most amount of attention to.
What are the duties of a congressman, and elaborate on how you will fulfill them?
Well, the duty is to represent you on the federal level, pass legislation, have a district office, and you can come, if it's issues with immigration, Social Security, all the issues that are federal. And I feel, besides representing you in D.C., my job is to represent you on the local level and also be a resource to you on a local level.
Again, a couple of compound questions. I'm going to see if I can break these down here. They're asking about your plans to support job readiness and job creation in the community.
First and foremost, I want to tell you that I am a proponent of the third airport. That's something that, as you know, the congressman worked on for a long time, and I did meet with the governor, and the governor is a proponent of the third airport too. Marcus, don't go back and tell me. And so he has a plan in his mind, and actually there's been different factions, I guess, 3 different groups, and it's been like this for a long time, but there's been some groundwork laid, and now it seems like everyone is in agreement of the airport. So, and from day one of the building, that's 1,000 jobs right off the bat. And then in 2 years, 150,000 jobs, and then increases just because of what will come when the airport is built. If you could think about when Chicago built O'Hare, that was, nothing out there, and what's happened from that. And initially, it's going to be more cargo-oriented, but then it'll grow from there. Also, I want to make sure finances continue to the colleges, so we can make sure our people are trained or retrained. Manufacturing, people think the United States has dropped in manufacturing, which they have, but we're still #1. And right now in Illinois, there are 30,000 manufacturing vacancies because manufacturing is not what it used to be, and it's hard to find trained folks because you need to be, your technology needs to be up to snuff, and other things is not like it used to be. I met with the National Association of Manufacturers, and that's what the gentleman talked to me about, that they have so many vacancies across the country, the 30,000 in Illinois alone. So I want to make sure that not only are we trained, but we do a better job in matching people when there are vacancies, because I don't think we do a good enough job in that arena also. So in the office, I want to make sure I have a list of job availabilities as we find them out. But again, making sure that the colleges continue to receive the money for training. And again, going back to transportation with the Port of Chicago, the mayor wants to, revitalize it, and there is money. There's a harbor maintenance trust fund, and actually a bipartisan group of congresspeople, believe it or not, are getting together, really fighting for that, because half the money is going to the ports from, New York to California, New Orleans, and Chicago, but not all of the money. And if all of the money is dispersed like it's supposed to be, it could create 2,500 jobs at that port alone. So there are things that, can be done that I'm going to jump immediately in with those congressmen to push that money to come back to Chicago. But also the other thing, again, going back to even before college, I would also like to see more vocational training starting in high school. It's not even, everyone's not going to go to college, but maybe people won't go to college right away. And those are good paying jobs if you think about, electronics, robotics, just different things, fixing airplanes and things like that. I think that we need to go back to that too. We need to try alternatives to what we've been doing. I also think we need to look at, even school hours, school days, and those kind of things. When I went to China, and they're in school much longer than our kids are in school, and on Saturday, if they're not in school, they're still in some learning mode. And I remember I came back the next day and spoke to a high school district in my area, and when I told them that, I was booed, at lunchtime. But it's a global economy, and we're competing, against everybody. When I went to China, I met with Caterpillar, I met with Motorola, and I was shocked. I met with Amway. They have a big business out there, and they said that, of course, they can pay people cheaper, and they speak 2 or 3 languages, unlike, here. So I just think that we really need to look at how we're teaching, what we're teaching, and preparing our kids for all kind of jobs, not just the usual, but we need to really think out of the box. And again, wanting to be fair to educators. I'm not an educator, so, going back to educators and see what they think also about how this can be done.
We in agreement.
Excuse me?
We in agreement.
They're in agreement.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm an educator.
I thought you said you were in agreement.
Okay, then this question is asking about your short-term and long-term plans for the community on several topics, some of which we've already touched on. So let's talk about small business ownership.
I came from small business. I came from a mom and pop grocery store, and I know that that store was like a stabilizer on the block in the community. And my, believe it or not, my grandmother purchased a store like in the 1940s, and then told my grandfather he's in the grocery business now. And then my father worked there when he was younger. Then he took it over, but my brother and I, neither one of us wanted to take it over, so we moved in a different direction. But it definitely was a stabilizer. We hired young people in the community, and I really want to see more effort toward supporting small business, and again, access to capital. Also making sure when there are government projects that, if you're coming into the neighborhood, then we need to make sure people in the neighborhood are getting those jobs. So I don't know what the name of it would be, but my thought is like the Robin Kelly vendor and contracting diversity program, and what I would do is come back to small business owners of various disciplines and talk to you about what you see the barriers are. Is it not only access to capital? Is it you need more technical help? You're not even hearing about, what's being offered, or what do you see the problem to be, and then work to conquer, those problems, and even having like a hotline or a tip line or something like that. If people don't want to come totally forward and say, hey, I heard about this, or I think that's what happened, with Metro, that somebody actually did call in. So, and also, make sure access to capital, something that legislation that I passed when I was a state rep, and I like to say the guy in the White House helped me pass it in the Senate, but it was my bill originally. But tax credits for businesses coming to Illinois or expanding in Illinois if they want to expand their business. So looking at, what we can do on a federal level, working with small business. And because I've heard so many stories, and also I just met with Andrea Zopp from the Urban League, and we talked about maybe some different ideas. The legislation does have to be tweaked again, some type of neighborhood, you have veterans preference and all that, some type of neighborhood preference when there's a government project in the neighborhood. The other thing, oftentimes when people bid for a project, they don't have the capital to sustain them. And I worked for the state, so I know how long we took to pay people. And sometimes businesses, they can't do the work because they can't pay the workers because the state takes so long to pay. So we were looking at seeing if we could put together a program where the bank, we borrow money from the bank, and then the bank pays your workers, and then when the state pays the money, they pay the bank back to get more people into the game.
I have a question. I was told that,
Sir,
Reason why-
sir, would you, if you wouldn't mind, we have one more question, and then we're gonna open up. I just want to be able to give the person the opportunity to get their question heard, which is in, and then afterwards we'll open up the floor. Okay? I'll definitely. So our last question is short-term, long-term plans about education.
Education is tough because funding comes from the state, and I do believe that we need to change how we fund education because all too often your zip code dictates your level of education. And, we've been saying that a long time. I was a state rep from 2003 to 2007. So we need to look at that. Also, like I said, I think we need to look at alternative ways in which we even educate our children. There was a alternative school where I live, and actually, when I spoke to the principal, 75% of the kids were at or above level. We tend to stereotype and say they're the bad kids or they're the whatever, but she just said they learn differently. It's not that they're bad or they're just different. And I think that, and they did well at the school, but they didn't have enough money, so they couldn't keep the school open, so they went back to the regular high school. But I think we need to think out the box and look at, how we are teaching, what we can do differently. And, it is the way we fund schools is tough.
Shaking too many hands.
And the other thing is my cousin lives in North Carolina, and her son is 11. And she said to me, I have to pick my son's electives. Now, I didn't pick an elective until I went to college. And she said his choices were robotics, Japanese, band. She just went on and on and on and on. In North Carolina, they spend, I think she said $8,000 something per student. And right next door in South Carolina, they spend a lot less than that. And, if people don't have the resources, and I'm not saying it will ever be equal, but they need to be close because kids don't have a fair chance. If you don't have, the best teachers, at some schools I went to didn't really have books, they had leftover books. Some schools, everybody has an iPad or at least a laptop and those kind of things. So we really have to equal the playing field. And I also look at best practices, like where have people truly been successful, because I just heard about what happened in Atlanta, and a whole lot of folks are getting in trouble for doctoring, if that's true, doctoring the test scores and making it look like, the kids are better than they did. But why did people do that? From No Child Left Behind, did we put, unrealistic